Cuphead is a pretty hard game. It's known for its charming hand-drawn art style, its old-school humor, and its punishing bosses. It's primarily a boss rush-like, and the main game consists of 19 bosses. Each boss has its own unique gimmick that you have to learn, which can sometimes take a lot of trial and error until you figure it out and eventually defeat it. You then collect their soul contracts until you reach the Devil's Casino for the final battle. Today, I decided to beat the main game of Cuphead without perishing once. Now firstly, I'd like to set the rules for the challenge. Since I'm only going to be covering the main game, any DLC weapon or charm including chalice are banned, while any weapon or charm including supers that are in DLC are fair game. Upon dying by any means throughout the entire run, I'll have to quit my game and delete my save file. And lastly, I cannot retry a boss during a run under no circumstances. Now that the dumb rules are out of the way, it's time to route the game in a way that benefits me most. In an ideal world, we will want to find harder bosses first, though as you might have guessed, the bosses do get harder the more we progress the game. We do have some free will with each isle we take on. Starting off at the Kettle House, we'll need to find a way to gather 15 coins to get the equipment that's gonna last me for the rest of the run. So after we quit out from the Kettle House, we mug an apple over their lunch money and use it to buy Shade Cloak. Smoke Bomb. Smoke Bomb is the only charm that we'll be using in this run. What it does is that it gives my dash iframes with no cooldown, which I hope I don't need to explain why it's good. And with that equipped, we hop on our run and guns. Now, run and guns technically aren't necessary to beat the game, but the reason we are doing these two is for the money, so that we can suit up on weapons and make the rest of the run easier. I've done them so many times at this point that I just speed through them, since they're a lot easier with Smoke Bomb. The only eventful parts are the fact that after Forest Follies, I buy Spreadshot and equip it so that I have an easier time dealing with them damn beetles. Oh, and also because it's the highest DPS weapon in the whole game. But mainly for the fucking beetles! In order to get to the next run and gun, we have to go through this shortcut. And lastly, at the end of the Tree Hop's trouble, I dash to the Dragonfly because I don't got time for it. With those 5 coins, we head back to the shop and buy Roundabout, an overall amazing weapon that outscales the pea shooter in DPS, utility, and EX. We mainly do that just to get a glimpse of our absolute godsend weapon for the run that we'll get our hands on later. After our Batman prep time phase, and completely forgetting to equip Roundabout, we can finally start the run. Inkwell Hell 1 is separated into 5 bosses. The first one we're gonna tackle is Cagney Carnation. The flower has 2 phases. The first one is a little long and has 4 attacks. The only thing that's worth noting is that the boomerang attack can be ducked, and the pink polyp must always be parried because the minion that it spawns can go fuck itself. Whenever you have downtime in between attacks, it's best to spam EX moves onto Cagney to get a lot of... Wait, what? Wait, go back. What just happened? Did I just shoot an EX out my ass? Sorry, I seriously didn't notice that somehow while playing. Anyhow, try not to do that. As for the final phase, the basic strategy is to stay ducked on the platform closest to Cagney and fire spread shots right in the face. The reason why we're ducked is because the little projectiles that are being sped at us can't hit us if we're ducked. And if the Vine's attack happens on our platform, a simple jump and a roundabout EX shot can stall us enough time in the air to dodge it. And soon enough, the flower shall fall. Don't worry, Cagney. Leave the victory dance to me. After remembering to equip my roundabout, the next boss on the list is the root pack. But honestly, this is supposed to be the first boss in the game, and we're severely overpowered, so there's no issues had here. We just farmed the potato for EX cards, blasted all of them on the onion, and deleted the carrot with Spreadshot. Sorry pals, just don't care at all about you. By getting the root pack soul contract, we unlock the bridge to Ribby and Croaks. The frogs have 3 phases, and generally for me, they are a lot easier than I remember them to be. The first phase can either have Ribby throw sucker punches at us, or Croaks shooting out homing fireflies from his mouth. No matter the order, if we roundabout the Ribby attack and spreadshot Croaks one, while obviously fully take care of the fireflies, we should end the phase in 1 cycle. The cycle being the frogs doing their respective attack once. Now, on the first phase, Mr. C can't take damage. He practically On the second phase, however, their hitbox are split, and he can take damage. You know what that means? It means double motherfucking EX damage. That makes it so that the second phase lasts for only 1 wave of disco balls thrown by Ribby. Now, when the threshold for the third phase is reached, both of them become Then one eats the other and now they're a gambling machine. After parrying the lever, there are 3 possible outcomes: snakes, devils, and tigers. Snakes and devils are by far the easiest, and tigers, although possible, they can get some slimy hits on me sometimes. For the machine to be able to take damage, it has to shoot discs at us. Otherwise, it's practically Alright, enough! On that note, a few roundabout EXs later, and the frogs are down. Those two brothers sure provided some riveting gameplay. Goopy is a piss-easy boss. Block these 2 attacks, spreadshot him during this transition phase, and EX his tomb. That's it. Can't say I'm ever dying to fight this boss. With the easiest boss out of the way, it's time for our first plane level, and technically the hardest boss of the isle. Hilda Berg has a phase form, and 3 phases in between 3 phase form transitions. So she's a basic bitch at the start, changes it up a bit, then turns into a basic bitch again, and so on and so forth, until the final phase. The first actual phase always turns into the constellation of Taurus, but every so often stops and then charges at you. The only issue is that when you pass the bull phase health threshold, Hilda does one last charge at you. It's not telegraphed. Even though I know about this, and I was familiar with how close I was to pass the phase, I still got hit by it. On the second actual phase, Hilda turns either into the constellation of Gemini or Sagittarius. For Gemini, all I gotta say is that the ball they spawn doesn't have a hitbox, and the bullets can start firing on the vertical axis, so stay on the horizontal one. As for the Sagittarius, which is unfortunately what I rolled, I just save up EX cards for a nuke and try to time it so that it destroys the little homing star projectiles as well. Before Hilda's final phase, she does this awkwardly long transition and turns into the fucking moon. During the transition, Hilda can't take damage, although you can still farm EX cards to nuke the moon phase. In that phase, 2 attacks can happen: stars, which are ignorable, and the main attack being the UFOs. The red ones shoot you as you pass them, and the brown ones fire before you pass them. So to translate, go through red, bait brown. That was a pretty enjoyable fight, Hilda. Tremendous, even. With the moon setting, Khal 1 is officially finished. Yeah, there are 3 of those. I'm not gonna lie, this was just a tutorial. After beating every boss, this guy gets out of the way of this coin, and then we go grab the final coin we need from the tutorial. I was not joking when I said this whole thing was the tutorial. With that extra money, I introduce you to the chart shot. The Charge Shot, although it may not be the best weapon in the game, it surely is my favorite. With a DPS only second to Spread Shot, its high damage charge mechanics provide a lot of utility. It's the Chad's Chaser. It requires little to no aim, because you can avoid attacks while charging and flick towards the enemy once it's fully charged. And most importantly, we can count our charge shots. You'll see why that's important later. Now, on to Isle 2. Inkwell Isle 2, much like the first one, has 5 bosses. The only B-Road side quest we have to do is this mausoleum to get the second SA. SA2 makes you invincible for 5 seconds. The reason why we don't get the first one is because it sucks. It does a total of 87 damage, and that's less than 2 charge shot hits. And literally every weapon in the game does more damage during SA2 than SA1. As for SA3, it's hard to use and I'm bad, so SA2 is the best we can do. We should probably not abbreviate super hard. So first boss of the Isle is going to be Baroness Von Bon Bon. In Princess Bubblegum's first 3 phases, she sends out a random mini-boss. There are 5 possible variants she can send out, with the worst one being that fuck-ass Muffin. This is how many charge shots each mini-boss takes to kill. It's also important to mention that every time a new mini-boss wave gets sent, some tomfoolery gets added to make the fight harder. After the first mini-bee, Jellybeans gets sent out to make specifically the Muffin worse. And after the second mini-bee pulls out the and shoots at us these tiny spinning clouds. Note that during that attack, if you hit her, she does flash as if she's taking damage, but that damage is voided. During her transition phase, she turns into a background boss, meaning she doesn't deal contact damage. You know what that means. After that, a handful of charge shots later, and Baroness is put into tears. Can't say this victory wasn't bittersweet. Right after that sugar rush, it's advised to get the bomb upgrade, as it will be essential for the next 2 bosses. First of which is Djimmy the Great. The genie is a boss with technically 5 phases. The first phase does a randomly selected attack between cats, swords, and treasure. During the first phase, he shoots his skull forward, covering a big area of the screen. The interesting thing about this is that he never repeats that attack ever again. After the first phase, you have to pass through these pillars by destroying Jimmy's faces. The reason why I said technically 5 phases is because this sequence is considered part of the sarcophagus phase. So if you find 2 phases on one pillar, it's best to destroy both of them as the damage will carry on to the next phase. Once you see Djimmy place his hand here, shoot out a Chomper EX for a very satisfying multi-hit. Bombs trivialize this phase completely, so on to the next one. The marionette phase is mostly improvised. Firstly, I deal with Hat by baiting it as far away from the middle as possible. As for the marionette itself, the important thing to keep in mind is that every 4th shot it shoots is parryable. I try to cycle between shooting chompers and parrying the projectiles so that I stay relatively close to 5 EX cards without using a nuke. As for the final phase, here's how I beat it hitless every time. I start by going as close to Jimmy's bottom teeth as possible and hold on to my saved up nuke. As soon as the first beam attack gets close, I nuke and use iframes to get into position to dodge the pyramid attack. After that, the genie should be dead. My only wish is to never have to see your dumb face again. Getting out of that tent, now it's time for the biggest bird. Wally Warbles is a boss with 4 phases. First one can have all of the attacks countered by simply hugging the wall so that the eggshells miss our character. After nuking the second phase only to save time and no other reason, the bullet hell itself is very easy, since there isn't anything forcing us to move away from the middle, which means we only have to dodge 1 or 2 feathers at a time. Wally Warbles is a scripted boss. Here, I've overlaid 2 Wally Warble fights on top of each other. When the eggs spread out, I get close and fire my normal shot, and when they come back, I get away and try to hit him with the splash damage of my bombs. The pink projectiles he shoots are extremely telegraphed and very easy to parry, and will help you farm a super for the last phase. After the final phase, we have a nuke and a 50-50 tree strategy we can pull. You see, staying above Wally and blasting him with bombs has a lot of risk to it, plus the plane pea shooter has higher DPS than the bombs, so what we try to do is stay low and shoot Wally in his ass. The 50-50 I mentioned is decided on whether Wally is gonna roam to the right or left. Roaming to the left is bad because it forces us to use our nuke early. The reason is because dodging the trash and pills being spat at us in such a tight space is inconsistent, and now we have to stay at a danger zone while waiting for Wally to roam back to the right side of the screen. But if Wally roams to the right side at the start, by the time he corners us to the left side, he's 1 nuke away from death. On the successful attempt, I lost the 50-50, obviously, which resulted in a hit, but I ended up surviving using the fact that Wally is very wide on this phase, so multi-hitting with a Chomper EX is very easy. Last thing I want to mention is that during the heart attack, Wally loses his hitbox and it gets transferred to the heart, so be careful when using your nuke. Fly high, Wally. You truly gave an impeccable performance. With the biggest bird down, we unlock a pretty bridge to the second mausoleum, which upon defeating, we get Super R2. The second godsend of the run. With the final piece of our loadout, we can finally get started with the hard part of the challenge. Beppi The Bitch is an absolute fraud. He's considered a very difficult boss, causing a lot of torment to new players. So how exactly are we going to make a joke out of this boss? Well, the first strategy we're going to use is counting charge shots. The first phase has 263.5 HP, which translates into 6 charge shots. Goopy's first phase only ends after 263.5 damage has been dealt and he hits his car on the wall, which means that if we do 4 charge shots, then an additional one while dashing through him, any damage we do now will overflow to the next phase. For the second phase, we charge up a charge shot and switch to spread as soon as Beppi can be hit. Parrying the train's nose gives us the perfect height to get a full spready egg. The phase is already over. For the third phase, we charge up a charge shot, and when the horse appears, we switch to spread. The phase is already over. For the final phase, we charge up a charge shot, and when Beppi ascends, we switch to spread shot. The train can be avoided by standing on the moving platforms, and when the penguins decide to be a problem, using our super art will let us do enough damage to beat the boss before the boss is already dead. Oh, come on, Beppi. Quit clowning around. As much of a clown that boss was, we are now entering the top tiers. Nothing would have prepared me for the level of butt rape that these 3 back-to-back bosses have to offer. And what better way to kick this off than with the most hated boss in the entire game, Grim Matchstick. The dragon, who is one of the big 5s of the challenge, is a boss with 3 phases. The first one has 3 attacks. The rings and the fireballs just alternate from the start till the end of the phase. The tail, however, needs us to pass a health threshold within phase 1 for it to get triggered. Grim does his tail attack as soon as he falls to 1392 health or below, which in our language is 7 charge shots. Additionally, when the tail attack gets triggered, it spawns right on top of our position, so if we make sure that the 7th charge shot lands while we are on the far left side of the screen, the tail attack becomes fodder, and with a high DPS charge shot has, it should realistically happen only one more time. Phase 2, although tricky, it's way easier. The only attack that can happen is these little fire jumping minions. The way I deal with them is by listening and looking for the extremely telegraphed wind up animation, recognizing which way they are facing, and simply jumping the opposite way. Now, although this is supposed to be it for this phase, one last thing I have to mention is that when you reach the 3rd phase, this happens. Yeah, I don't know, dude. All I know is that this hitbox makes Grim take damage, and the last phase is easily the hardest, so I'll take what I can get. This final phase is the reason people hate this boss. The main attack has Grim spitting these insufferable orange balls. Upon hitting these balls, they explode into 4 smaller flames, spreading in a plus formation. All that is fine, but Grim shoots these balls on random intervals and from a random location. Fuck's sakes, even the amount of fire she shoots is random. After that, he turns into a flamethrower that only shoots fire on the middle platforms, which honestly is just free damage for us. As for the rest of the phase, super art when you feel unsafe, and pray. Oh, would you look at that? I did it hitless. Haha, don't let the dragon drag on, bitch! Taking out that dragon signals the end of the 2nd aisle, so on to the last one. Well. If it isn't Rumor HoneyBitchface. In my opinion, this is the hardest boss in the game. The Bee is a boss with 3 phases. Now, let's cut the bullshit. Her first phase is completely fodder. It is only on the 2nd phase where my choices actually start to matter. Rumor's 2nd phase has 2 short and 1 long attack. The 2 shorts are the triangles and the spheres. The sphere attack has Rumor spawn a pink parable sphere in the middle of the screen that tracks her character like a slow homing missile. I try to move only when it's necessary, so I spend as little time dodging and as much time shooting. The triangle phase has Rumor spawn a triangle on us that rotates and shoots 3 times smaller parable triangles from its edges. Twice! All of these directions, including the fact that the boss is an auto-scroller, make all of this way too confusing. So to counteract that, I try to stay as high as possible and jump as it spawns so that the triangle leaves the screen early. How do I know which of the 2 attacks is done? I don't. I just pretend it's always the triangles, because the spheres are easy. The long attack, on the contrary of the short ones that can have Rumor spawn on the sides of the screen, she now spawns in the middle. She then spits 6 bee missiles on each side that travel upwards, covering the entire arena in a zigzag pattern. The 3rd phase is god awful. It has hard homing fists that come in and out of screen, a screen-wide attack, and the platforms ascend faster. This phase is abysmal dogshit and I don't like it. So let's skip it. After dealing 432 damage, which translates to 10 charge shots, Rumor does, much like Hilda, another awkwardly long phase transition. Unlike Hilda's, this sequence can take damage. On top of that, if her health drops to the 3rd phase while one of her attacks is active, she has to wait until the attack ends in order to start the phase transition. So if we try to get her at the very least close to 10 charge shot hits and then bash her with as many charge shots and EXs as the start of the next attack, combined with the phase transition, we can effectively skip the entire 3rd phase. Unfortunately, I made a mistake in the successful attempt. I wasn't paying attention on my EX cards and accidentally got all 5, which means that if I try to use my EXs, I would use my super art instead. Which sounds good, but at the moment I need offense, not defense. I pivoted to just use the super art on phase 3 and hope for the best. And as I was stressing out for literally no reason, this happened. Someone could say I clutched this fumblebee. Next boss on the list is Dr. Khal's robot, a boss with 3 phases. I'm beginning to see a pattern here. The first phase is pretty free. I just go up and down while trying to destroy the laser gun first, then purge to parry the cylinder and take care of the ads, and repeat until the heart is exposed. I nuke the heart because the upgraded effects are too hard, and the second phase is barely worth mentioning. Shoot as he travels towards you, and bomb when he's under you. The real reason this boss is hard is due to the 3rd phase. I'm really starting to see a pattern here. The 3rd phase has 3 attacks that are separated into 2 categories, the gem attack and the wall attack. The gem attack can be either red or blue. The blue gem, which is also the easiest, fires a burst of 6 smaller gems in a counterclockwise rotation, while the red one bursts 8 smaller gems. The other attack are the walls that appear from the top and bottom of the screen. These walls' purpose force you to move around within the gem's attack. There isn't any RNG in this phase. If he does one color gem attack, he will always follow up with the other one. So this is a complete skill and endurance check. I typically play very aggressive in this fight, trying to parry all the pink gems to get as many nukes on him as possible. So after a display of biblical levels of greed, I clutch the boss at 1 HP. Sorry, Khal. I was just a little rusty. Now, this part of the run is where I get to breathe for a moment. Since all 4 of the following bosses are extremely free, I'll speed through them to quickly get back on the interesting part of the run. Sally's Stageplay. 4 phases. First one gets shredded by Spread Shot and Smoke Bomb. I use Super R2 for the second phase as soon as she does the Rat Toys attack. Third phase is laughably Spread Shotable, and the Wave attack can easily be Smoke Bomb. This phase has less than 200 health. That's all you need to know. Don't be sad, Sally. It's just a stage you're going through. Phantom Express. 4 phases. First phase gets autopiloted by Roundabout, while second and third phase are honestly very easy with Charge Shot. On the last phase, I stand here and create a diagonal roundabout trap, and jump to parry the tail only if the jump also dodges the nose bow. Once I feel like I'm in danger, I use my super art to finish it off. I regret to inform you, buddy, but you've reached your last station. Werner Werman. 3 phases. All attacks except the cherry bombs can be smoke dashed. I usually use my super art to pass the second phase and spread shot the cat because it's a background boss, but in the successful attempt I messed it up and I didn't use my super art until the third phase. Sure did it hitless though. What happened, Vermin? I got your tongue? Captain Briney. 2 phases. Phase 1 is very uninspiring. Every attack is very telegraphed and easy to deal with, except the dogs, maybe. And the barrel can be annoying, but the way I deal with it is by constantly bait it down so I have more control on where it is and what stage it has reached. As for the final phase, I use Smoke Bomb to both dash to the looping fireballs and fire my Charge Shot. I did kinda choke at the end, but I ended up making it out alive. I sure bet that fight got you hooked. This was an extremely short-lived break, because the next boss is the definition of RNG hell. I introduce you to Cala Maria. Cala Maria is another one of the big 5 bosses. It's a boss with... Actually, I'll let you guess how many phases it has. If you guessed 3, you'd be correct. Now can you also guess which one's the worst? In the first phase, she has 3 summon attacks and 3 basic ones. Now whether you get hit or not is decided by how merciful RNGesus is. Some attack combinations are very intuitive and easy to deal with, while others, well, not so much. Also, her head is the only thing that can take damage. This is true for all of her phases, but it took me a while to figure out when I first started playing. The second phase, The second phase spawns these eels that spit out projectiles, simulating a bullet hell. The reason why this attack is difficult is because of the screen-wide laser that upon hitting us, turns us into stone, disabling our movement entirely. There is this trick though that I use that deals with this very well. You see, every input you do progresses your escape from the stone effect, and each joystick direction counts as an input. So when I get stoned, I spin my joystick and spam all the buttons to escape quicker. Third phase takes that concept and makes it somehow even worse, with the stone attack still being a thing, but the chances to get hit and their level of unavoidability is increased. Nuke or spam EXs and hope you don't die before her. You have my word. God as my witness, I will have your head. Obviously. With that being said, Aisle 3 is complete. And although I did say this game only has 3 aisles, the nerves of the challenge have just begun. The story of this game follows 2 unfortunate brothers who gambled their souls away to the devil, and to get them back they get sent to gather the soul contracts of the Owers in exchange for their own. As you might have guessed, the brothers aren't going to comply with the devil, as he will be the final battle of the game. Entering the devil's casino, we first have to get past to the devil's right-hand man, King Dice. King Dice is a boss with 10 total phases! Now don't be scared, not all of them are mandatory. The fight starts with King Dice showing his board of bosses, with each number being a boss and each safe spot being, a safe spot. We traverse this board by rolling this magically 3-sided d6, and the number we get is how many squares we go forward. Now, manipulating the dice is fairly simple. The way I personally do it is by jumping on the side after the side I want, and if I do it correctly, I should get the initial number. The bosses themselves vary from hard to difficult, but since I can pick and choose, I always went with the easiest ones. These are the bosses I went for, and this is how many charge shots each takes to kill, including King Dice himself. All of the bosses are obliterated by charge shot and especially the smoke bomb. And the last phase is a test of how good you are at parries. I always have a super art ready for it, so it never ends up being too bad. And let the good times roll, big guy. This is it, the final fight. If I die here, I have to reset the entire challenge back to aisle 1. Now is the time I have to focus and rely on the hours of practice I've put on this boss. Okay, that's fine. I even have a safety cushion, just in case I make any other mistake, which I highly doubt. You know what? I'm just gonna let you enjoy this one. No, 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 no. What's going on? What is going on? Oh! No! Yes! Yes! I had done it. The entire game of Cuphead without a single death. Whoa, 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 whoa. What just happened there? What was that goofy dance the devil was doing? Well, I did some research on this, and apparently if the devil has an attack active during phase 2 and you knock his health down to phase 3, the attack plays in the background. You can't really see it, but the devil did the attack right as I hit him, and it caused this limbo that allowed me to get a lot of free hits in. Last thing I want to mention is that here I paused, because if you do, you can start firing your weapon as soon as you unpause. And here I was celebrating early because I knew my super art would be enough to kill him. With that being said, I beat Cuphead without dying. The full run is going to be linked down in the description as proof. If you like this style of videos, make sure to subscribe. It's free and it lets me know to keep making them. And bye bye.